Hi guys, Rob at Optimal Bodies. Last week we did 5 top tips on building muscle. This week we do my 5 top tips on how to shred the fat, so burning fat. Obviously there's a lot of other things involved, but these are just little tweaks that you could do if your diet's pretty good, you think you're doing everything right, training's good, you just need that little tweak just to get your fat burning back on track. So we'll start off with number 1, possibly the most important. I'll let you be the judge. So I want you to skip breakfast. That means probably about up until 9 AM if you can hold off eating until about then. Spoke this before, but it's mainly because of the insulin sensitivity in the morning. So we wake up, we're quite insulin sensitive, which is good for our muscle cells, but also good for our fat cells, which is bad for us because when you eat the carbohydrates mainly, that's the problem. Muscle cells and fat cells will soak up the sugar from them and they can make both of them grow. So we want to avoid obviously the fat cells. So just by avoiding breakfast, we keep cortisol nice and high. Cortisol in the morning is great for fat loss, so they encourage the fat cells to actually come out into the bloodstream and you use that for energy. Just by not eating carbohydrates mainly, then that can occur. So protein can also raise the insulin, so it's mainly just fat if you still need to have something to eat. I recommend coffee with some coconut oil in or some heavy whipping cream, which is just pure fat. It's not going to raise the insulin. And it also can curb off that hunger because there's some compounds in the coffee that can help with that. So hold off the breakfast, eat about 9 o'clock, that's when you can start, and you'll get that nice fat burning through the morning. And it's quite convenient, you don't have to worry about eating straight away, you can get ready for work, whatever you'll be doing. So number 2, leads into it nicely, eat fat. And it's not as simple as just eating fat, it's avoiding the carbohydrates as well. So carbohydrates raise insulin levels, and then if you're eating fat as well, then fat can be stored as fat and the carbs can be stored as fat. So it's not as simple as just eating fat, it's eating fat in the absence of carbohydrates. So stuff like your meat, coconut oil, which I'll speak of in a second, cream, cheeses, bacon, avocado, great fat sources when you're not eating carbs. So what happens is you're telling your body that fat is a preferred fuel source, so it'll upregulate all the enzymes necessary to burn fat and to burn body fat. So that's the idea, you're telling your body fat is a preferred fuel source. Fat doesn't raise insulin levels, so you get nice energy from it, and it can also increase testosterone, things like that, which leads on to the muscle building. So, great, eat the fat, absence of carbs. So, number 3, which leads into nicely, we've got coconut oil. So, this is a really interesting fat, as it's about 70% MCT, so that's medium chain triglycerides, that contain in the coconut oil, which, unlike other fats, which can take up to 2 to 5 hours to be in your bloodstream, this is quite rapid, so it gets absorbed almost immediately to the MCT oil that's in there. And the one reason why that's important is it can spark ketone production. So ketones are made from your fat cells. So what happens is you eat the coconut oil, fat's rapidly put into the bloodstream, so the body recognises this and it uses that fat to produce ketones. Producing the ketones takes a lot of energy from your fat cells, so you basically get a negative calorie load. So what that means is you burn more energy processing the coconut oil, making ketones, than it actually is calorie wise in the coconut oil. So you get a negative calorie load, which is great for fat loss. So just by eating the coconut oil, which can be put in your coffee, you can cook your eggs in it, cook your bacon in it, use it for frying. So fried food is supposedly bad, but fried coconut oil, you've got a winner. Okay, so going on to the next one, number 4, cardio, and specifically long distance cardio, steady state. So when you get your heart rate above like 60 beats per minute, something like that. I want you to avoid that, avoid doing too much of it, as it can be quite dangerous. So without going into it too much, basically, if you're expending a lot of energy for, say, like you're doing cardio for an hour, some people do 2 hours marathons, even up to that. Your body recognises this, and all it does is it just down-regulates how fast the energy is coming out. So it's your thyroid gland that will get down-regulated. So it's a bit like your body sticking, it's like if it was a car, it'd stick it in 5th gear and be really efficient. So it'd slow down the fat loss. So we want the body to be inefficient, so it's wasting a lot of energy, which is wasting fat. Then we get leaner. Okay. And the last one. End of the day, eat your carbs at night. So there's a lot more of a factors to look into, but the basis of it is I want to eat your carbohydrates at night. As we go back to number 1, which is skip breakfast, as we're insulin sensitive, As we get towards the evening, muscle cells and fat cells become insulin resistant. So it's not as simple as just eating your carbs at night. You have to train some sort of resistance training that day. So if you're lifting heavy weights or you're sprinting, the muscles get depleted of carbs. So naturally, you get these glucose transporters that come up through the muscle, which want to soak up the carbs. If you haven't trained, then that can be detrimental because your muscles aren't going to take it in. But if you have trained, you can eat your carbs at night. Your fat cells don't want to take them in anymore because they become resistant. But because you've trained, your muscle cells do. So fat muscle cells soak it up, get more muscle. The more muscle you got in your body, the higher metabolism, etc. So I hope that all helps. 5 top tips. Please like and share my page and get lean. Cheers.